The 7 groups, for those of you that are familiar with it, and as an introduction for those who aren't. One is loneliness, which is fairly self-explanatory. You're really lonely. Yes, maybe that's what useful essence. Over-care for others begins to get a bit, not noticing like that. Lack of interest in present circumstances. You know, where's he going with that one? Oversensitivity to influences and ideas. I mean, that could mean anything. Uncertainty. We're getting a bit more on solid ground now. Uncertainty, yep, I can understand uncertainty. Fear. That's fairly obvious as well. And to a certain extent, despondency and despair. But there's an awful lot of that is around not knowing what on earth's going on, isn't there? Uncertainty, fear, and despondency and despair. When we started to look at the chakras, what we found was that the crown chakra, which is our connection to our source, it's our connection to divine wisdom, to divine understanding. When we are disconnected from that divine understanding, we experience a loneliness that goes much further than just the loneliness of not having people around you. You can be in a room full of people and be lonely because, but if you have a spiritual connection, that doesn't necessarily mean you're religious or that it ties into a religion, but if you have a spiritual connection to there being something outside yourself or something bigger than you that is part of you, then you're never lonely. You never feel that emptiness. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The brown chakra is our intuitive centre. It's our third eye. So it's our inner tuition, where we see through the veil and are able to understand things and allow our intuitive forces to work. Going back to the 7 groups, over-care for others. Now remember I said that we're very good, especially as therapists, at making ourselves busy, putting everybody else right. We have an intuitive connection, but if we're not careful, we expend it out, making ourselves busy looking after everybody else, because that way we avoid actually having to face what's going on for us. And all these people are coming up with all these problems because they're trying to show us, they don't know they're trying to show us, but they are reflecting back to us things we need to deal with in us. So when we've got overcare for others, what we're not doing is properly caring for ourselves. And frankly, if we don't look after ourselves, who's going to look after the rest of them? So we are number 1, actually. The next one is the throat. Now the throat is the centre, the throat chakra is the centre of healing. When we look at the different elements, the throat is the ether element, and the ether holds the pattern that we grow into physically. How many times do you get clients who come and say, oh, I had my treatment last week, I had a really sore throat the following day, I thought I had a cold coming on, it was really nasty, then it disappeared. Does that happen sometimes? Do you ever get a sore throat when you get a treatment? When you've got throat things going on, it's because things are trying to change. You're getting back to that ether pattern. And that's why that's the throat chakra that has to change. When we talk about working with people and going back to the source, it's like if you have a house built and the builder builds the window in the wrong place. You say, no, take it down, I don't want the windows there, I want the windows on that wall. But you don't change the plan, and you say, build it again. What's he going to do? Build it exactly the same. The plan has to be changed, so that happens at the throat level. The interesting thing is, when can we change things? When is the only time we can change things?
When you want to.
Now. Absolutely, thank you. You can't change it in the past. Sometimes when you change it now, it changes the effect of the past. But you can only change things now. And so at the throat chakra, the lack of interest in present circumstances means we're not in the now. All the essence is there, and we're giving our power away either to the past, or to the future, or to daydreaming, or to making the same mistakes over and over again, not allowing the change. It's all different versions of not being in the now in some way. Then we go on to the heart chakra, which is about transformation and balance. It's also about unconditional love. And if we go back to the 7 groups, that oversensitivity to ideas and influences. Do you remember I said before, if you're not properly grounded, then we try and open the heart chakra, and this is when we become oversensitive. And it's not as much now, but a while ago, a lot of therapists used to talk about raising their vibration, and they want to become, and people used to, you'd meet people and they'd say, oh, I don't go into town now, I'm very much sensitive, I can't go into a room full of people, oh, it just really upsets me, I pick up everything. That's actually being oversensitive. And we shouldn't be, our sensitivity, as we develop our sensitivity should keep us safe. It shouldn't make us vulnerable. So if you're feeling vulnerable, you need to look again at how you're grounding yourself and sort out that sensitivity and that heart chakra. Okay. So then we have the solar plexus. Now the solar plexus is about thinking, it's about feeling, it's also about doing things. When we are doing things, or we're thinking about doing something, if we don't know what to do, if we don't have the knowledge, we become uncertain, don't we? We don't have the certainty to be able to move forward with things and make them happen. Does that make sense? Mm. And then we have the sacral chakra. Now the sacral chakra is about vitality, it's about emotions, it's also about our sexuality. It's our creative chakra. We know it's our creative chakra as women, especially anybody that's had a child. That's where we created it. The creative force. And that's going to be important when we look at the way that we create things. And of course, what gets in the way of our creativity is fear. Fear, and in actual fact, we can look at it that there is only one emotion. The one emotion that enlivens every emotion we have is love. And every other emotion is either love in different states, joy, happiness, elation, or it is love thwarted. It's love that has been dampened by fear. Fear is the only thing that can compromise love. So if you think of envy, greed, anger, and it all stems from fear. Now, is anybody familiar with Tony Robbins' work? Heard of Tony Robbins? Mm-hmm. He has a saying, which is, I love with this, is fear is an acronym for false emotion appearing real.